And according to my computer, we're back. We are live. Look at that. How about that? Hi, everyone. How are you today?
I'm well.
Doing good.
So welcome back to our as of yet untitled Vodcast. We still don't know what we're calling this. I don't know if we're ever going to come up with a name for it, but hey, whatever, that's fine. So we're here today to talk student voice. That's going to be our next topic as we talk with Ryan Miller from Prosper, Texas. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, guys.
Hey, good to have you on the show.
It is awesome to be here. You guys should name it Two Guys in a Vodcast.
Two Guys in a Vodcast. That sounds like a sitcom that may die after a year or two. I don't know.
There was a sitcom similar to that. It was Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Shop.
No.
That was amazing. Ryan Reynolds was on it.
Ryan Reynolds, that was his first real gig there as a famous actor. Now he's everywhere.
Yes.
He's doing okay for himself, yes.
So again, welcome. We're here to talk about student voice. This is exactly what I was hoping for, actually. This is fantastic. And Ryan is a English language arts teacher, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah, I am. And next year I get to double dip and be English language arts and social studies.
Nice. So, that's a good pair. I like that. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
And one of the things we love doing is having teachers in the classroom come and talk about their experiences and things that they're doing. The other thing that's fantastic with Ryan being on the show is you are going for your master's in education right now.
Yes, sir.
And you're doing this in applied behavioral analysis and instructional technology.
Yes. So it's kind of a custom-made thing. So it was started off as applied behavior, and then I was like, yeah, but technology. And so kind of worked into, so kind of was able to double dip with my courses and get them both in there.
Nice. Good for you. You could start a new trend.
Yeah, super, super focused, but it would be a new trend.
You're going to have a lot on your plate once you get that done, and everything's going to be just blossoming, and opportunities are going to be everywhere for you.
Hoping so.
So Ryan also moderates the hashtag Fearless Ed Chat. We'll throw that in the description. That's Wednesday nights. For those of us that are here in East Coast, that is 8:30 p.m. Wednesday nights. And you in Central Time, Ryan, who lives in Prosper, Texas, or works in Prosper, Texas. I don't know if you live there or not. That would be 7:30 Central Standard Time.
Yep.
Look at that. I know my time zones. Oh, I'm awesome.
He passed something. Thank goodness.
So last week, Eric and I released a video on YouTube, and we did our hashtag moreedtech chat on YouTube. And one of the things that sparked doing that and being here today is talk about student voice. So let's kind of get that conversation rolling and talk about how important it is. You know, Ryan, you were talking about how right now you're teaching English language arts. Next year, you're double dipping with that in social studies. How important is it for you to believe that students to be able to share their ideas no matter what their proficiency or skill level is with technology?
It's incredibly important, especially, I mean, in social studies as well, but in English, in 7th grade, like writing's a really heavy focus. And so kind of helping those kids find their voice is our first step. And I feel like technology really helps with that because that's what their world is. That's what they know. And so whenever you can relate it back to what they know, it makes it easier for them to express themselves. And so I have kids that love technology and they'll use it all day long. And then I have kids that are kind of still finding their way. And so they'll write it out and they'll practice it. And then they might do a video or a presentation to kind of build up their confidence with it. But yeah, definitely being able to cater to comfort with it is important because everybody's voice is different as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think the other thing, too, to think about is when you give students that chance to showcase their voice a little bit more, I've found, I don't know about you, but I found their quality of work goes up as well because they're presenting it more in their format and they get to kind of showcase their uniqueness as well, especially if you give them some choices around how they're going to present whatever it is they've learned out to people. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times people feel boxed in. They have to do it this way, or they have to present it this way. And I think giving them the choice of choosing, that in itself is voice. And yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's super important.
As we talk about this, we talk about using technology to be able to do this with you. First off, I want to make notice that I'm not the only one that uses my hands when I talk.
Sorry.
Ryan's using her hands all the time when she talks too. I caught myself in the last video because I am everywhere with my hands. So I have a kindred. Yay! We use our hands when talking. That's awesome. So Eric's just laughing at me over there. When we talk about this, I think what's great is that there's a lot of different medias to be able to give the student their voice. I mean, not only with that, but with the technology out there, you have something that is a little bit longer, like a YouTube video where somebody could do, up to you could do a YouTube live and you could do it for up to 8 hours. Yeah. Or you have something like Flipgrid. We're going to throw a one out there for Flipgrid. We love Flipgrid. You've done a couple of them. You did one for your English language class about the Outsiders, which I remember I read as a 7th grader back in the day. So it was great to be able to do that and to be able to give students a choice of what they want to use to send their voice out there.
Yeah, I think as a teacher, an 8-hour YouTube live grade would probably be a little bit extreme. But we might cap that. But in fact, my kids right now are finishing up their capstone, their end of the year. And so they had a choice. They could stand in front of the class and present. They could do a video. We did have a Flipgrid that they could choose to respond on. They're using Google Classroom to upload different things as well. And so in my mind, if it's their final year and they're showing me what they've learned, choosing how they show that also tells me what they've learned, because it shows me what they've grown comfortable with, what tools they feel proficient in. So I think that it's definitely a benefit to have those different avenues because you get to see new things.
Yeah, and so how do you kind of expose kids to all these different tools throughout the year so that they can feel comfortable with some of these different things? I mean, do you do almost like tasting menus with projects throughout the year so that by the end they know what their main course is going to be to deliver their final presentation?
And Metaphor of the Year award goes to, that's brilliant. Actually, I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna use that.
Go for it.
That's right. I think he stole it from somebody else too, so it's all right.
Given. I don't have an original thought in my brain, so no worries.
But yeah, no, that's kind of how we do it. I kind of look at the assessments throughout the year and say, okay, what tool can I plug in here so they can get used to it and try it? Sometimes I walk into class and I'm like, hey guys, guess what I discovered? And kind of just go from there and let them try it. The first time that we did a choice board at one point where I gave them specific options to choose from. The first time we did that, I was like, hey, if you don't know what it is, click on it, check it out, see if you like it. There's usually a trial day at the beginning so they can get used to the technology or the tool or whatever it is. The first time we ever did a swivel lesson in class, I literally just walked in and was like, hey, check this out. It's going to follow me around the room. Let's see what happens. And so, the entire lesson, the kids are watching the swivel camera just go back and forth instead of actually paying attention. But you have to carve out time to let them try it. And you can't expect that the first time that you give it to them can be when you assess, because everybody has to go through a trial and error phase.
Right. Absolutely.
So we didn't get into this, but Ryan, what grades levels are you teaching right now before getting into the whole social studies realm of things? Yeah.
So right now I am strictly 7th grade. So, and that was my bell. Right now I am strictly 7th grade. So, and in Texas, 7th grade English is a pretty heavy writing focus, but I do teach English language arts and reading.
So are you trying to augment what they're writing with what they're trying to say as well? So they have the possibly the ability to write something down, give it some thought, and then be able to say that as, orate it to an audience here through Flipgrid or through YouTube or through any of those? Or do you specifically use it for question and responses where you're giving out a question, they're responding to you, and then you're giving them feedback via the video for that type of voice?
Yes. I mean, not all at once. Don't get me wrong, but
right.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I feel like especially with technology, there is no one and done. And so it depends on the tool and it depends on the lesson, and we kind of do all the above. Like right now, when they're doing their capstones and their presentation, it kind of depends on what venue they chose as to like how we actually use it. So if they chose to do it on a Flipgrid, I reply to them with their rubric feedback on the Flipgrid. If they do it in class presentation, then we have a one-on-one meeting where we go through, if they chose to upload, like they use WeVideo quite a bit since we have Chromebooks. And so if they choose to do a WeVideo, then and they have their live rubric that we go back and forth over. And so like, that's one way we've used it for question and answers. My goal for next year is to try a Socratic seminar in digital format.
That would be cool.
So it's going to take some planning and it's going to take some logistics, to work out. But to me, that's the fun part is, okay, how can I take something that we've been doing and we know is good and tweak it with a technology twist so that, we can I hate to say make it more relevant for the kids, but I mean,
no, that's fine. That is absolutely now, what we're doing, right?
Yeah, because like right now, the way that we're communicating and doing this vodcast, I mean, this is how kids communicate with a lot of people and Snapchat and all that good stuff. So yeah, I tend to respond in whatever way they're presenting so that they can see it's a two-way street.
I think that's great. And I think too, if the tool can enhance that lesson by any means or take it to the next level where it couldn't before, that's fantastic. That's where we're headed. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like that's the goal. Like, I mean, in my mind, for me personally, I feel like I'm really trying to move past the, hey, this can replace it into, okay, how can it really, I mean, that whole SAMR model, and how can this really transform it and make it better?
Right. Yeah, we're kind of in that boat too. There's a lot of times where we have to almost take some certain lessons and translate it right to the tech, because that's step one, so that at least you can understand how to get that digital copy over. But yeah, then to transform it is where we're really trying to head and make sure that we can get to that upper level of thinking, and that's great.
So I think one of the things that this really leads into beautifully was I have a little sheet here with topics that I want to talk about, but I never follow it correctly. It's just the crux of being I'm here trying to do the commands on whose video is up, and I'm trying to monitor it over another side, and it gets kind of tedious to go through all this because somebody else doesn't help at all. That's hanging out in the back of the room.
Ridiculous.
I just love that you're both in the same room. But
I should throw something at him.
Just don't hit the water. Let me move that way over there, so that way that doesn't get hit at all. That'd be bad. Although you'd have to buy me a new computer then, so that's fine. Whatever.
Hey, there's plus sides.
Yep, always.
There always is, right? So one of the things that I mean, the reason why I like doing this, and the reason why I like to model the thought process of having yourself out there on a video, what we do with our videos is we always put ourselves in the video, so that way it becomes personalized. And I think when we talk about student voice, when we talk about people using things like Flipgrid and WeVideo and so on and so forth to present what it is they're talking about, it puts that personalization to their work that they're doing a little bit more than what you might get, because when you try to read something that is submitted, on a piece of paper or through Google Classroom or whatever that's written down, you tend to yourself put your own spin on it because you're reading it, and so your opinion and thought processes go into it. If you're getting a video or something that's increased with student voice, you get their complete personalization of it.
I definitely agree. And I think you also, like you were saying, it's kind of the same thing with emails. You can't read a tone in an email. You can't read an eye roll in an email. You wish you could sometimes, or you read too many of them. But it helps them really express themselves. And especially like I have some kids who are brilliant writers. And then when I read it, I'm the grammar teacher and I'm the English teacher, and so sometimes that gets in my brain and I read it from that side and I miss some of the content. And I mean, which is a horrible thing to happen, especially when it's this great, written piece and it's truly expressive and I'm seeing, oh, that's capitalized and oh, this, so when they present it and they can video and be there in person and reading it to you, you can see what they're meaning to tell you. And so like, I think especially I know in Texas, presentation TEKs, which are our standards, are built into every grade level, which I think is super important. I've written work because it's probably quicker and easier to grade, but you're not really learning anything about that student just by reading their words.
Yeah, the point of everything we do in education is to teach kids how to learn, especially going through the years of early education. Is teaching kids how to learn and how to present and how to be themselves within their learning models, not necessarily just, hey, okay, this is what I put up for you in class. Now, what was that I put up in front of you in class? It's about making sure that they're interpreting it and giving the correct output that you're looking for, the correct outcomes, learning outcomes that you were looking for. I'm throwing big words out there that I don't even know what they mean, but I thought it sounded good. Is that right?
No, I've got my thesaurus next to me. I'm ready to go. No. No, I love that you mentioned though, like the whole learning process, because we actually earlier in the year, they wrote probably their second or third expository piece. And a couple of the students were struggling with coming up with ideas. And so I pulled them off the side and I had them record themselves reading it. Because when they saw themselves and heard themselves speaking it, they're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to say. Like, that's not how I wanted to convey it.
Right.
I think that helps them with self-reflection. And, when they see other people's and they can look and say, oh, you know what? I like how they kind of made it seem more mysterious. How can I do that? So then we take that and we're like, okay, so you've reflected, you've observed. Sorry, I'm talking my hands again. And
no, it's fine. I like it because I'm not the only one.
But I think it helps not only with them having voice and presenting, but it actually helps them through the learning process as well, to be able to watch themselves and reflect. It's like an athlete watching game tape.
Right. Exactly. That's a great metaphor too. Yeah. Yeah, because I
made that one up on my own. No.
Hey, good for you. Plus one for. All right. Yeah, because I think
this is the day of metaphors. Apparently, this is the metaphor podcast.
It's an English teacher, so it's got to be.
Made sense. I think that's a good point, because I think some of the things we often forget about is, especially when we're talking about student choice and voice, is we have these sort of tasting menus or these ideas where you could go off in. We have these great rubrics that can apply to many different means and tools and products, right? But sometimes we forget about the exemplars. And I think, building that library and having the students not only reflect on themselves and their work, but then reflecting on their peer work, so that we can kind of build this idea of, okay, there's a reason why that one was really good. Let's save that one for an exemplar for later in the year, so that we can say, all right, for my final product or whatever the presentation may be, I'm going to pull what I've learned all year long about some of the best projects or presentations I've seen and work off of that, which just make that rubric a little clearer to students than just having the words of the matrix listed out.
Man, you just gave me a great idea.
Oh, yeah?
No, because I was just thinking, I'm like,
share it. Let's go.
No, but okay. So for me, it's going to be a little bit tricky for next year since I'm going to be in a different grade level or anything. But to have an interactive rubric where if you have this rubric and they say, okay, so here's what an exemplar is in content. And if there's a video link of here's an exemplar content example, and then they can click another link and say here, like, I think that would help with clarification, because you have kids that need the visual as well as, the auditory and the reading and everything.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're going to work on that one. That's
you two are going to revolutionize learning here just in this little 20-minute, half-hour vodcast. You're going to revolutionize the way everyone does everything, and I just got to sit here and be a part of it. I love it.
That's what we do. That's why I made you do all the clicks.
Oh.
So I have no idea where to even go from here, because this is like, you guys are coming up with fantastic, amazing ideas on how to change everything and how to do everything. And where we're going to go forward with the idea of having students to be able to give their own feedback. And what I was thinking about during this whole point was I was actually relating this to my oldest son. He's an 11-year-old and he struggles heavily with writing, and he knows what he wants to say, but then when it's in his brain, but when he has to actually say it, he can't translate it out. And the idea here that you guys are talking about with, all right, write it out, now read it to yourself and record it, and then you can critique yourself. And I know I'm going back a little bit, past your idea. But to me, that's something that I think as a parent, I can look at and say, okay, you're going to come out with better ideas and better product for your teachers because you're going to be able to critique yourself before they even get a hold of it and critique you.
Well, and kids are usually harder on themselves than anybody else.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm harder on my kid than anyone's harder. No, I'm just kidding.
Shocking.
Like, I mean, I know times that like I've shown them, you know, and I hate bringing it up, but you know, state testing, but I've shown them an exemplar. I'm like, hey guys, this is what the state says an exemplar. What do you think? And they're like, this is horrible. What are you talking about? Like, what, you know, right. And they rip it to shreds. And so, and I'm like, oh, well then, okay. But I think, so they're their hardest critics. And I think that's kind of true of anybody. You know, that's why people will sit there and look in the mirror and say, oh, I need to do this, or I need to do that. We're always our hardest critics, and writers always claim that whatever book is published is horrible. And
right.
Yeah, but no, I
Cooks
mean,
always
so
think that food is the worst.
But I think, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the nicest thing that technology has given, especially like English teachers, is that ability for them to not only read their own work, but to hear it.
Right.
Hear it. I mean, when we read novels in class, I always play the audiobook in the background so that they can hear it while they're reading it, just because you jump into the story so much more. And I don't know, I feel like, and now my brain is still wrapped around this whole rubric idea, and I just can't let it go.
Perfect.
But
you know, start writing it down. Let's get a Google Doc going here. We'll have it all set up and ready to go.
But it's great to not only have those exemplars, I'm just thinking on the rubric, not only have those exemplars, but like maybe have the kids plug in theirs. So like halfway through the project, they record themselves and say, okay, where would this video fit? Or where would this, you know, program fit? Or where would this presentation fit on this rubric? And plug it in, and then they can keep track of their progress and how much better they get.
Right. From one draft to the next, yeah.
From one draft to the next, and then they can actually see it. I mean, and which is great with Google Docs and all those live documents now that they can go back and check the revision history. We've done that a couple times. I'm like, I want you to pull up your draft from 2 weeks ago and just take a look at that one real fast. But presentations will help so much with making them feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I'm super excited. Like I have a computer over here and I'm like typing about the rubric. I'm like, okay.
Well, I thought what was great about what you were just talking about is now we're going again beyond the idea of student voice, but into the idea of technology leading to student choice when it comes to what they're learning and how they're learning, is having the students not only be able to give you the auditory feedback or visual feedback or whatever, even on their own work or on what but you're talking about the point where the student voice goes into the idea that they can help scope what it is that they're trying to learn by having them help develop their rubrics and help them be able to help you develop the course content. If you're going through and saying, wow, this stuff really isn't good. I know Eric all the time talks about the idea of not teaching to the test, but teaching to the subject matter. Yeah. And what you're doing now is you're saying, let's give the students a voice, so that way I'm teaching to what it is they should know.
And I mean, that's kind of always the first step, I feel like, in finding out what they are, you know, what do you already know? Because there's always going to be that time where you start teaching a lesson, the kids are like, we know this, you know, and so, which is where, you know, essentially what you're saying is the best pre-assessment you can get of, okay, what do you want to know? What do you want to learn? And then of course there's content, like you have these standards you have to meet. Okay, well, how can I make those meet what they want to know? You know, how can I make this apply to these kids?
Right. Eric, you got anything else to add over there? You're being awful quiet all of a sudden. I think your brain is starting to wrap around the idea of this. I think the two of you are going to become rich and famous, and just remember who it is that brought this together to have this.
I forgot. The guy behind the click.
I'll ride everyone else's coattails here. That's fine with me. I'm good with that.
No, I was just reflecting on the fact that I think true authentic learning is where you get your greatest achievements in education all the way around. And I think by having, you know, a decently built rubric where the kids have the input, but also then those exemplars and along the way, having those kids plug it in where they think they fit along the continuum. And yes, you can look at draft 1 through 6. I think that's going to be the greatest achievement. And to me, that would replace almost any of the other versions of e-portfolios I've seen too, because I'd much rather see it on the continuum with the rubric rather than this is what it looked like at the beginning of the year and have people really have to dig in to find out what the achievement really was. It's so much easier to see on something like that. So I think that's a great idea, and I'd be excited to see some of that actually flow into the classrooms.
I think I have
perfect. So
we're
our summer doesn't start for a few weeks. Yeah, I was going to lead into that at some point. I wasn't really sure where that would fit, but somehow I got wrapped into finding a way to find out who would be interested in a Flipgrid summer camp. So hashtag Flipgrid summer camp, all one word. If anyone is interested in seeing if Flipgrid can put together. They're looking. They've said put somebody else in charge of it to see who would be involved in it. And somehow I apparently started this somehow. I'm not sure how I started it, but I'm now in charge of finding out who is available. So you can DM me on Twitter at RootBoysDad. That's RUPBOYSDAD. I'm going to pump myself up a little bit here because not everyone who is watching this is already on Twitter watching this anyway, so that's fine. But I've completely gone off the rails now, so that's great. We're doing fantastic.
That would assume you were on the rails at some point.
So anyways, Ryan, I would definitely want to thank you for joining us on this. This has been a great, fantastic vodcast, a fantastic chat. I think everyone's got a lot now to think about as I try to figure out how to keep inspiring the two of you to do all the work that I don't have to do, to then figure out how this would go and become something. No, that's not how this works.
Wow.
No, I don't think so. I think what'll happen is we'll brainchild it, and then we'll push it over to you and say, okay, go.
Yeah, do the work, group. Do the work.
Never been for those that don't know, I've never been a classroom teacher. I'm actually the tech. I came from the tech world. So for me, a lot of what's being said here is complete Greek.
Explains a lot.
So this is what every day is like here. This
pretty much.
A view into what our life is like now, and as we work together, and it's fun, but there are days. There are days.
Yeah, summer's almost here, right, Rube?
That's right. That's when I go back into my job of actually, doing hardcore tech work, wiring and wireless access and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. So anyways, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a fantastic show. It's been an enlightening show. It's been an inspiring show. And hopefully a few other people are going to jump on board with this. And again, hashtag Flipgrid Summer Camp. Come and join us. Let's start another hashtag for the idea of doing the rubrics.
Interactive
the interactive rubrics. I think hashtag interactive rubric. I think we got to start rolling with that. Make sure you come and join Ryan's chats. Hashtag Fearless Ed Chat
tonight,
Wednesday nights at 8:30. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Central Standard Time. If you want to go Mountain and West, figure it out yourselves because I'm not doing the conversion.
Wow.
And join us on Thursday nights. I know we're a little bit later. We're 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is 8:30 Central Standard Time. But please come and join us for more tech chat. Ryan, what are you talking about tonight? We're gonna boost this during the chat tonight, so that probably won't help us very much.
No, it's okay. But yeah, we're definitely going to be hitting on some tech ideas today. So I think this will probably carry over. I might be revamping some questions actually. So
nice work in progress. I like it.
And I think tomorrow night when we do our More Ed Tech, we're going to blend more into the student voice. We're going to hopefully get some Flipgrid. I'm going to try and get a few of them to show up and help us out talk student voice. And Ryan, you better be there.
I will be there. I promise. I already have it on my alarm. I told my husband he's putting the baby to bed. We're good to go.
See, that's the good thing about having a couple older kids is that they put themselves to bed after a while. But
oh, I can't wait.
Oh, tell me about it.
All right, so that's going to conclude our broadcast. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks again, Ryan.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
Bye.